So welcome everyone to Transformational Tuesdays. I'm Teresa Velardi, your host for this time of inspiration, education, motivation, and conversation that is focused on key ingredients necessary for your transformation. And I'm excited to have Dr. Hepsharat Amadi with us today. Dr. Amadi is a medical doctor. She is working with quantum biofeedback among several other modalities with her patients. And I'm going to give you some information about her in just a second. But I want to welcome everyone who is new to Transformational Tuesdays. We are excited to have you here and hope that you will continue to join us every Tuesday at noon right here on our Zoom channel that we have going on. You can get the replays from previous calls. The audios are on transformationaltuesdays.com/replays, and the last 6 videos will always be on that page as well. For the rest of the videos, you can feel free to go to Transformational Tuesdays on YouTube, where they're all posted for your viewing pleasure. So there are lots of different topics, lots of different content involved in all of these conversations, because we talk about transformation in all areas of life: physical, emotional, relational, spiritual, and career, and whatever else comes along here. So I'm sure I left something out, but this is about transformation in all areas of your life, whether you're looking for transforming your business or your personal development, personal health and wellness. So come here every week where we have incredible guests offering you information that is going to help you better your life. So I just want to say hi to our guest, Dr. Amadi. Hi, Dr. Amadi.
Hello,
how are you?
Thank you so much for having me on your program. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to have you here. I'm excited to have you here. I will say this before I introduce you, that the work I'm doing with you is changing my life. So I just want to give everybody a little bit of that information. I invite Dr. Amadi here because...
Well, that just makes finding worthwhile.
Yes, exactly. So because I was having some difficulties, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, and she has really helped me to balance out some things in my life that have for a long time kept me stuck. So let me give you a little bit of information. Dr. Hepsharat Amadi is a native of New York who graduated from Bronx High School of Science in 1974. Harvard University in 1979, the State University of New York at Stony Brook Medical School in 1987, and Bronx Lebanon Hospital Family Medical Practice in 1990. After that, she moved to Florida, graduated from the Community School of Traditional Chinese Medicine, and I just lost my screen. And now she's been in practice in her current holistic practice since 2001, and her healthcare includes quantum biofeedback and bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. Hepsharat is married with 3 children. You can view her website at Dr. Amadi. That's www.dramadi.com. So welcome to the conversation, Dr. Amadi.
Thanks so much, Teresa.
I'm grateful to have you here. So in today's conversation, I want to ask you a couple of questions, and then I'm going to ask Dr. Amadi a few questions. But here's the questions for our viewers and our listeners. Do you feel that you experience optimal health, or are you frustrated that the medical practitioners that you're seeing right now have been unable to pinpoint the issue that you're dealing with? Well, I have good news for you. There is hope with our current guest. There's hope and healing for you, because Dr. Amadi, as I said, is a medical doctor, and she uses quantum biofeedback to both assess and to treat her patients who are now experiencing a more healthful life. So during this conversation, she's going to be sharing with us her expertise and her experience of how this revolutionary science and using this method and this machine to treat people all over the world has changed her medical practice and the solutions that she can now offer to her patients. And I know when we were talking the other day about a story you wrote for an upcoming book, you can treat people all over the world. So first, let's get started with a simple question for those who don't know. What is quantum biofeedback?
So quantum biofeedback is an electromagnetic way of looking at the body electric. We don't often think of ourselves as being electromagnetic beings, but by the laws of quantum physics, we are. So we are energy as well as matter. And except in the case of the heart with the EKG machine or the brain in the case of the EEG machine, conventional Western medicine does not look at our electrical functioning. Only in those specific two instances does it, but the entire body and mind is electromagnetic and spirit is electromagnetic. So therefore, if you monitor this level of our reality, then you can get a heads up on what trends may be developing, because everything starts at the electromagnetic level first. So really what it is it's a computer that's attached to a box. There are leads coming out of the box that attach to the patient's wrists and ankles and head. And this is a way that the body's electromagnetic signals can be picked up by the machine and translated into terms that a practitioner can read in English on the screen.
Wow. But I know that you don't actually have to physically be present in order to be able to get the benefits from this science, which we're going to talk about in just a second. But how does quantum biofeedback differ from other types of biofeedback? I know that there are a lot of different types. So what makes this one so much different and so much more accurate in the work that you do?
Well, conventional biofeedback works by helping a person to become more aware of some aspect of their functioning that's normally automatic or autonomic, such as, for example, their heart rate or their brain waves or their blood pressure. People can learn to become aware of all these processes that go on with them normally below the level of their awareness, and then they can learn to control those things. So that is what conventional biofeedback does, and this machine also has those therapies programmed into it. But that's not what I usually use it to do. What I usually use it to do is to act on the quantum nature of the machine and display to me what's going on with the person on the electromagnetic level on the screen, and then allow me to choose different therapies that I can actually use to change what's going on with that person electromagnetically in the moment. And one of the things that I love so much about the machine is that it is individualized to that particular person at that particular moment in time. So it's extremely subtle and non-invasive and precise. And I like that. It's gentle.
And that's awesome. The precision of this is what really amazes me. And so you explained a little bit about how a person is assessed with quantum biofeedback from your answer to the first question when you talked about being connected to the machine and so forth. But I understand that you can do this all over the world. How, Dr. Amadi, on earth does that work?
Well, you know, it probably also works off of Earth as well, but I've not had the pleasure of having that experience yet. But in any case, it works because of the laws of quantum physics. We've all heard of the famous Einsteinian equation, E equal mc squared. Well, E is energy, that's a variable on one side of the equation. And then m is mass on the other side of the equation, and c is a constant, the speed of light. So whenever you have one variable on one side of the equation and another variable multiplied by a constant on the other side, what that really means is that those two different things are just interconvertible aspects of each other. So even though we think of ourselves as being a physical and chemical creature that is only in one place at one time, we are actually also energy or frequencies. And just like we have unique DNA, we have unique frequencies. And these unique frequencies can be picked up at any distance all over the world, provided you have the correct information and the right tool or the right machine, which is the quantum biofeedback machine. So just as we can access the spectrum of light coming from a distant star system and know which system it is by its characteristic spectra, we can also access a given individual's frequencies at a distance and know that we're dealing with that particular individual that we want to be assessing or treating, because we can recognize the characteristic signature, if you will, of that individual's energy.
And what information?
That's the best I can explain it.
Well, that was super. I understand that, and I hope that everyone else understood that as well. So I believe you did a really good job of explaining that. So what are the information that you need that is specific to the person that will identify them energetically by the machine? Do you need? I mean, do you need?
All you really need is. Do you need what? I couldn't catch that.
A sample of my left arm to do that?
Oh, well, we actually don't need any physical samples. Okay. All we really need is the person's name that they identify with. Because, for example, some people have changed their name, so, or through marriage or whatever. So the name that they identify with currently, their birthday, and where they were born. That's really all we need to establish them as a unique identity. Mm-hmm. And although it's true that, let's say, you could have somebody with a very common name who's born in a place where there's probably a lot of individuals with that name, like my old hometown, New York, but there's still an element of intention which can be picked up by the machine, so that you actually locate the person who you're wanting to locate. And if you were to ask me how that happens, I really couldn't explain that to you, because I'm not a physicist and I'm not the genius Bill Nelson who invented this machine. But all I can tell you is that intention counts. In the quantum world, intention counts. And so, for example, those are the pieces of information, just 3, name, birthday, and where they were born, that we would need to characterize a unique individual human. Mm-hmm. But now, for example, if we wanted to access the frequencies of animals, and we can do that too, you don't even need to have a precise date of birth or a precise small location like a particular town. You can be broader when dealing with animals because, well, you just can. So in any case.
Okay. Well, so that being said, I just want to let everybody know that I have been working with Dr. Amadi for the last, since March, I guess. And I have experienced, how this technology works. I've experienced how this science comes together with this quantum reality that she's talking about, and the use of this quantum biofeedback machine. Back in 2007, I had a hysterectomy, and since that time, my hormones have been, and anyone, first of all, women can relate to hormonal issues anyway, whether you still have your parts or you don't. You can relate to hormonal issues anyway. But I went to Dr. Amadi because I was having some issues that were affecting me that were now greater than the hormonal issues that I was having as I went through menopause after the hysterectomy. So I asked her to help me because my thyroid was affected, and I was getting symptomology, a lot of different symptoms like no energy, my skin was looking crepey, C-R-E-P-E, not crappy, it's crepey. And it was like I was starting to really look old, and people really don't believe how old I am when I tell them anyway. And that was huge for me. And I was worse than that, more than looking old. I was feeling like my age was getting to me. And I had also gone through a knee replacement, and I was experiencing a lot of inflammation. So I went to Dr. Amadi and I had a consultation. And now she was in Florida. I live in Pennsylvania. I'm currently in Connecticut visiting with my good friend Barbara Yeager, and I'm going to be calling her in a few days to test the current medications that she has prescribed for me. I'm on bioidentical hormones. So, which is all of this to ask this question. So I want people to know that I'm using this and it is working. I'm feeling a lot better, a lot more energy, I don't feel as whacked out in my head or in my body or in my emotions. My hormones have come into quite a nice balance at this point, and every month Dr. Amadi tests them for me. So how can the quantum biofeedback machine be used to test supplements, medication, homeopathic remedies, and so forth, to see if they are appropriate for a particular person at a particular time? Now, occasionally my prescription changes, but how does this work?
Well, the quantum biofeedback machine is a laptop computer, and attached to the laptop computer is a little box that has a metal plate on top.
Mm-hmm.
And when I want to test something for somebody, I go into the part of the quantum biofeedback programs that is Acupuncture Meridian balancing. So you can use that part of the programs to either balance the person's meridians, which is like doing an acupuncture treatment on them without sticking needles in them. You're balancing the flow of energy in their body. That's basically what acupuncture does. But I also use those programs to test supplements and various things for people that I'm considering telling them to take. So I put those items on the top of the box, and then I click on test that person's meridians to this item or to these items. And then the machine will either say excellent or it'll gong. If it gongs, that just shows me that it's finished testing, and then I go by the colors that it shows over the different meridians. White would be greatly improved, purple slightly improved, yellow slightly weakened, and green is greatly weakened. If it says excellent, then I know that it's going to be really helpful for the person. Sometimes you can accept a little bit of downside in order to get, something that would be beneficial, but at least this is a way of testing things before you actually tell the person to take them. Because you see, in conventional medicine, and I've gotten so spoiled by using this machine that I can't imagine going back to practicing without it. But in conventional medicine, doctors think that a certain thing at a certain dosage might be helpful. So they say, go ahead and try it. I'm going to prescribe it for you. You let me know how it does. And then we see, either it has a good reaction with you, in which case great, or it might not, in which case the person might have an allergic reaction or something else might go wrong. At least by testing on the machine, this gives me an idea in advance before they start taking it as to how they might react to it. And that's really helpful.
So the guessing game.
And I also did want to say,
is
narrowed down greatly.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Greatly. And one of the things that I have discovered about doing bioidentical hormone replacement, and one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about it, is because just like in your case, Teresa, I found that little tiny changes can make a big difference in how people feel. And it's one of the most gratifying things that I get to do is to write a prescription for somebody and be pretty darn sure that within the next week they're going to be feeling better. And, natural healing sometimes takes a lot longer than a week. But of course, it's always very exciting to be able to offer that to people, because often people have been feeling so bad for so long that they just want to know that they're on the right track. Right. And they want to start feeling better like yesterday.
Yes.
And this can give them a way of doing that.
Right. And that was my case. And a lot of the things, some of the, there's a lot of different factors, and you have to be willing. The willingness has to be there to make a difference. Now you can invest in a session with Dr. Amadi, and she can give you all this information. You can buy the hormones. You can do whatever get the stuff that would put together a plan to make you feel better. But if you don't actively participate in that plan, then nothing's going to work. You have to be willing to make that change. And I've discovered that.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And I'm really glad you said that. because one of the whole things about being a functional medicine doctor, which I consider myself to be, is that we're most concerned with dealing with the causes of illness and not just the symptoms. So in order to really address the causes once and for all, one has to usually deal with lifestyle habits.
Yes.
And if the person is not willing to change their lifestyle, then there's really no point in going to a functional medicine doctor, because they're not then going to get the kind of results that they're looking for on a permanent basis. So I have the privilege of dealing with a niche market of people who really want to know what's going on with their health, are willing to take responsibility for it, and are willing to do something different so that they can get different results.
Right.
And that's why my patients, including you, are so lovely.
Yes.
Men and women.
Yes.
They're wonderful.
Yes. And here's the thing that I want to say, and you said two words, actually 3 words, 100% responsibility. So, you know, we can take 100% responsibility in every area of our life, and it is only then that you're going to experience living life to the fullest, because everybody's experience is different, and you are responsible for your own experience. Quit blaming everybody else for how you feel, and really take hold of where you are right now, and really do what is necessary in order for you to feel better, make the changes that are necessary. Let's talk about the acupuncture meridians for a second. I want you to know something. I was going to an acupuncturist once a week before I met with you. And I've not seen that acupuncturist since I was in your office. When I met you, when I came there, I was down in Florida and I met you.
Acupuncture is a great therapy. You know, the thing about acupuncture, and I actually am a licensed acupuncturist, so I went to school for 3 years for that. I know acupuncture and Chinese herbs, but back when acupuncture was developed, there were certain factors going on that are not going on now. So for example, people could get very frequent treatments. They could get treated once a day for 10 days. That was a typical regimen, and then be off from like maybe a week or so and then do it again. People these days can't usually have that kind of visit frequency. Also, there are so many toxins in today's environment that actually interfere with the flow of electromagnetic energy. And not only do the toxins do that, but the toxins cause a lack of minerals, and the lack of minerals in our foods also cause us to have deficient electrical energy. And that's one of the reasons why so many people's metabolisms are just kind of flatlined, is because there's not as much chemical reactions going on, because they don't have the enzymes, because enzymes are partly made up of minerals, and they're all deficient in minerals and fatty acids. Right. So this is just one reason of saying why acupuncture, while being a great thing, and I greatly advocate it, but there's so many more different therapies that you can do in quantum biofeedback, that one session of about an hour and a half oftentimes is sufficient for the month, if the person's doing what they're supposed to be doing in their own, daily lives.
Right. And the reason
why you don't need as much treatment as frequent treatment.
Right. And I mean, I love the acupuncture treatments. I mean, most people, my family says, why would you go let somebody stick needles in your body? Because in the end, I feel 1,000% better. But the bottom line is that with this modality that you use, with the quantum biofeedback, and because it balances those meridians during the process that you use for, identifying what's best for you and balancing out those meridians, it's not necessarily, I don't have to frequent the acupuncturist the way that I did before. I mean, I like my acupuncturist. She's a good friend of mine. But the bottom line is I don't need to go there, because my body feels better even without it. Let's talk about inflammation for a second. And then I want to, before we do that, I just want to let everybody know we're coming up on the half-hour mark. And if you have a question for Dr. Amadi and you can see me, or you have a window open to the Zoom room, you can just go to the chat room, the chat area, and let me know that you have a question. I'll open your line for you. If you're calling on the phone, I haven't found another way to do this just yet. I'm working on it. But if you're calling on the phone and you have a question, you can text me at 570-230-4185. Text 570-230-4185 and ask your question on the text, or let me know that you have the question, and I'll open your line so Dr. Amadi can hear you and you can ask your question of her directly. Okay, so let's talk, Dr. Amadi, about the I call you Hep. It's so funny to call you.
Oh, that's fine. You can.
So, because, it's wonderful. You meet people in your world in a certain other place, and then you realize what wonderful gifts they have and how you can create a collaborative relationship with each other. So it's just amazing.
Yes, likewise, because I'm so excited about this and about Zoom, and it's just wonderful. Yeah. I thank you for the opportunity again.
You're so welcome. Let's talk about inflammation, which is probably one of the biggest causes of all disease that's out there. What can some of us do even before we connect with you for our own individual treatments? What are some recommendations you can give people to reduce inflammation? And I just want to preface this with this advice that Dr. Amadi gave me has worked miracles in my life. So let's talk about inflammation.
Okay, well, that's a great question, because inflammation is the great common root by which a lot of disease processes occur. A certain amount of inflammation in the body is normal and natural, especially under certain circumstances, such as wound healing, but too much inflammation, especially over a long period of time, can definitely be damaging. So there are many causes for inflammation. Some of them are mechanical, but most of them that I commonly see are biochemical. Mm-hmm. So some of the reasons why can have to do with, let's say, consuming foods that we're allergic to or have sensitivity to. That will cause inflammation. And you might think that everybody would know what they're allergic to, but they really don't, because they only know certain types of allergies that they might have. They're typically not tested for others. So, for example, for pretty much everybody in the audience, if you were to stop eating gluten, sugar, and dairy, that would just wipe out a whole lot of inflammation right there. Other things that you can do to kind of counterbalance it is you can take lots of fish oils. I think that a lot of people need to be taking at least 4 big fish oils a day. Some people need to be taking 6 to 8 of them a day. It all depends. Other things, taking lots of vitamin C. Vitamin C is anti-inflammatory. Grapeseed extract is anti-inflammatory. Magnesium helps with the adrenals and inflammation. Drinking lots of water. Now that just sounds so simple and possibly easy, and for some people it is, but for a lot of people it's not. So it's something that you constantly have to be aware of and to do. And for example, one of the very handy parts of the data that I see displayed on the screen when I'm looking at a person on the quantum biofeedback machine is it shows me their hydration. It's supposed to be between 80 and 100. So I know if it's 66, then the person's not drinking enough water. So that's another thing that they can do to reduce inflammation. There's lots of things that one can do, but those I think are the most important things other than detoxifying, because the presence of toxins can also cause inflammation.
That's a huge word out there today, detoxification. Without going into, buying a multitude of things that will help our bodies detoxify, or going to a clinic where you can do, water colonics. What are some things that you would recommend besides the elimination of gluten, sugar, and dairy from your food consumption on a daily basis? Is there anything else that you can recommend for a gentle detox for our listeners and our watchers, people who are watching?
Some people like taking for example, some apple cider vinegar. A couple of teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. Some people like using baking soda in their water a couple of times a day. Make sure that that's the kind that doesn't contain any aluminum. That will also help to make the body more alkaline. Some people like drinking water with a little bit of lemon in it, squeezed fresh lemon. And even though the lemon itself is acidic, but the effect that it has on the body is alkalizing. So those are some things. Also, if you belong to a gym and your gym has a sauna, you can take advantage of going in there. Depending upon your condition, you might have to start off with just about 10 minutes or then go to 15. But this is a great way of sweating out a lot of toxins. And there was a study done on people who were first responders to the 9/11 scene, and many of them were not able to work after that. And they put them in a sauna for like an hour a day, 5 days a week for 1 month. And then at the end of that time, a lot of them were already detoxed enough to be able to return to work. So something as simple as a sauna, infrared sauna, can also be very good.
That's awesome. Yeah, because most people
going to the ocean, for example, going to the ocean.
Go ahead. I was going to say that most people don't realize that your skin is the largest organ in the body, and it needs detoxification as much as your intestinal organs do, So I think that the sauna is a great idea. How would the ocean, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but how would the ocean be of...
No, that's okay. Well, the ocean has similar chemical composition to us. Its concentration of salt or saline is very similar to our own blood composition. And there are many impurities that will come out in the ocean. Plus, which when you're walking along the beach, you're being exposed to all these negative ions that are coming through the soles of your feet. They call that earthing. So, one of the things that's happening to us these days, although we're usually not aware of it, is that we are tending to accumulate large amounts of the wrong types of electromagnetic fields and dispersing, or rather acquiring free electrons from our environment, as we do when we're walking along the beach, helps to neutralize some of these charges which have a bad effect on our body, things that come from, cell phones and computers and Wi-Fi and so on.
And I'm so glad that you mentioned the earthing and the ions and the negative charges and stuff. I was talking with somebody the other day and the question just went right out of my head. Oh, I know, about there in the 80s and 90s and even the early 2000s, these foot baths, these Ionic foot baths were very popular, and a lot of people have.
I use that in my office.
Yeah, awesome. So tell me about that effect of that machine and the effects of heavy metals in our bodies, and talk about how that Ionic foot bath works. And besides that, how can people reduce the heavy metals in their body, which are probably far beyond the word toxic?
Well, that's a really good question. So I'll try to cover it all pretty quickly. The way that the foot bath works is that the people put their feet in a tub of water. They have a coil, which is connected to a box, and the coil runs a current through the water. And what that does is it helps attract the toxins out of their lymph and into the water of the foot bath. So foot baths might typically take about 20 to 40 minutes. And you see the water start being clear. And then after a while, it starts changing colors. And the colors that it changes have to do with the type of toxins that are coming out. So for example, orange might indicate joint toxins, green, liver toxins, foamy stuff can be candida or toxins coming from the lymph, and little black flecks can be heavy metals. And, it's amazing. I myself, I know that this works. I've had my own experience of foot baths, but I myself have been actually surprised by hearing my patients report that after only 1 or 2 foot baths, pain that they had been having in various portions of their body, their knees or their shoulders, actually gets to be a lot less after just 1 or 2 foot baths. So that shows me that by removing the toxins, you remove some of the inflammation, and by removing some of the inflammation, you remove a lot of the cause of the pain. So getting back to the heavy metal thing, because it's really huge, and I see lots of people in my practice who are full of heavy metals, and unfortunately in conventional medicine, they do not look for toxicity in their tests. They don't know how to do that, and they don't have anything to offer to people. Even if they were to discover that the person was toxic with heavy metals, usually they wouldn't know what to do from there. But there can be things that are done about heavy metals. One of the most important things that I think that anybody can do, and I really hope that somebody in my listening, in your listening audience will pick up on this and run with this, and that is, if you still have any remaining mercury fillings in your mouth, and these are the silver fillings that the dentists used to be putting in people's mouths when I was a kid and a teenager, if you still have any of those, by all means, get them removed, get them replaced, and make sure that you get them replaced by a dentist who has taken the extra measures to get the extra education that they need to remove those fillings most safely. Mm-hmm. So that will be somebody who's called a holistic dentist or a biological dentist or a mercury-free dentist. Make sure you do this, because that metal doesn't just sit in your mouth. It leaches into your saliva, it's swallowed, you breathe it, and so basically it's spread throughout your body. And personally, I believe that it's one of the biggest potential causes for cancer that there is. It's just that when people develop cancer these days, nobody looks into why that occurred. They just usually treat it conventionally according to their protocol for whatever, type and grade of cancer it was, but nobody's asking, why did it occur? This is something that everybody can do that will actually greatly reduce their chances of cancer, greatly reduce their chances of inflammation. It has effects on people's metabolism. Okay, a lot of reasons why people might have difficulty losing weight has to do with heavy metal toxins that are inactivating their enzymes and causing it to be more difficult for normal chemical reactions to go to completion. So that's like a huge thing. Huge. So glad you asked about that.
Me too. It came up in conversation the other day, and I made a mental note in the back of my head to ask you about that. And yeah, so man, so much great information. So I want to ask you about why quantum biofeedback is, oh my goodness, who should be using quantum biofeedback? I know that it's a vital body, mind, spirit, holistic therapy. I'm the one in my family that is like asking questions. Why are you taking all that stuff in those pharmacy bottles? Why do you put that junk into your body? And
they're asking, why are you having needles stuck in you? And you're asking, why are you taking all that stuff?
Exactly. So it's like, I believe, this is my belief, and this is my belief, and if other people may have other beliefs. My sister's had cancer twice. She had kidney cancer. She just went through breast cancer last year. She lost both her breasts and went through radical surgery and radical chemotherapy and radiation therapy. And I watched both my parents go through lung cancer and whatnot. And my brother's having an issue now as well. And I'm like, how about some of this and some vitamins and, whatever, and change a few things that you're eating and watch your life improve. And I'm living proof that you can improve your life with holistic means. And that's the path I choose to take. I have gotten rid of my anti-inflammatories are gone. I'm not using them anymore because I took the gluten and the
fantastic.
Yeah. And I found a little thing called turmeric that takes the place, helps to reduce inflammation, is a miracle worker. So all this information has really helped me to lead a much more wholesome life. So holistic therapies are really, really helpful in living a much better life than going to the doctor and being loaded up on bags of pharmaceuticals. So why is this vital for everyone to have and to use it proactively to keep balance, body, mind, and spirit? Talk about that for a minute.
Well, you know, different people live their life with different philosophies and have different things that are important to them. So, you know, this way of approaching one's health is not going to be one that I would recommend for somebody who is either not willing to take responsibility for their life or their health, or who just wants to deal with things in a crisis management mode. You know, it would be counterproductive. If you want to do that, then you probably need to deal with conventional medicine, because conventional medicine excels at crisis.
Yeah.
Emergency. And if you have a crisis or emergency, God forbid, go to the ER. Do not stop and check your functional doctor. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go right to the ER and let them deal with you there. But if you would prefer, like I would, to never set foot in an ER as a patient, then this is the kind of therapy and assessment that you want to be doing. Because I like to give an analogy. I mean, I live in Florida and I love Florida, but one of the things that Florida has is hurricanes. But the reason why hurricanes are kind of nicer in a way than earthquakes is that we start knowing that the hurricane is forming a while before it hits us, okay? We are advised that a tropical depression is forming off the west coast of Africa. We know that that means we need to go into the supermarket and lay in our hurricane supplies. Well, the quantum biofeedback is kind of like that. It's an early warning system to say that, you know what, there's some things that are starting to get a little bit out of balance here. And if you keep on letting this go, they're going to get more out of balance and more out of balance to the point when you eventually become diagnosed with a disease. But by the time that happens, those little imbalances that were first starting off at the electromagnetic level have now reached a point where they can be detected at the biochemical level in blood tests or other lab tests, or at the physical structural level in x-rays or CAT scans or MRIs. So by the time conventional medicine knows about it, because those are the only tests they do lab tests and they do scans and x-rays. By the time something shows up as an abnormality in those areas, it's quite severe, and it's been going on for a much longer time. So most people, the walking well, or they think they're well because they have no symptoms. They don't realize that symptoms are the last thing to occur and the first thing to disappear. So, you know, everybody out there is subclinical. But by using the quantum biofeedback machine, if you want to be proactive about your health, you can become aware of things that are subclinical. And what's really more important, you can, or what's equally important, is you can start to do something about it, to change it, to make it better. So that's one type of person. Or if you just want peak performance, if you're an athlete and you want peak performance, if you're learning new skills and you want to learn them quicker, you want to retain them better, if you're things in your life that you want to change and you need to, let's say, build up your self-image in order to do so, or get rid of some fear in order to do so, there's all kinds of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming therapies in the machine, and that's actually my favorite part. So I feel like no session is complete without some stress reduction and without some of these psychological, emotional therapies in NLP, because although the body and the mind are really just two aspects of the same thing, but if you had to address only one, only the mental and emotional or only the physical, I think that you would produce a much greater resolution of symptoms if you address the mind and the emotions first, because that's what's running the physical.
Yes. Oh my word. What a mouthful you said. Now, first let me say, if you have fallen and you have broken a bone, by all means, go to the hospital and get it set, or see your doctor to make sure that that's taken care of.
Yep, get it set.
Yes. Yes.
If you need an operation, do that.
Yes, absolutely. But for overall wellness, and you know, if you have, I mean, before I would take over-the-counter cold medication, let's say, I would look to the natural healing process before I did that. today with what I know and what I have experienced in my life and in the lives of those around me. So this is vital information. Oh my goodness. I love your analogy with the hurricane. I love it.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I've used that before, and it usually seems to get the picture across. One last little thing I would like to say, you talked about ways that people in their own lives could reduce inflammation, and I love what you said about turmeric, because they're starting to discover more and more things about that are really fascinating. But another thing is, definitely do not ever, ever, ever microwave your food or water. So, that's a simple thing, but it's powerful. And what you are doing when you are doing that is you are introducing a whole bunch of frequencies into that food or water that are inflammatory, and then you're dropping it down your gut. Not a good idea. So please don't do that. If even one person has heard me and has decided to make that change in their life, then I may very well have helped save somebody's life.
Yes, indeed. I've heard you talk about the not microwaving, but now I understand why, about the frequencies that actually cause inflammation in the body. That's just amazing. Amazing. All I can
so
say
amazing that they even allow that to be sold.
Yeah, and you know something, it's so, in this day and age, it's like we're always on the run, we're always fast and whatnot. Here's the thing that I know, and I learned this from a coach that I'm working for. Now, I've learned it from a lot of different people, yourself included, Dr. Amadi. But we tend to forget that we need to take care of ourselves first before we can take care of other people. That we need to fill people up from our overflow, and that we need to have our cup filled. So if it means having a few more minutes to prepare our food rather than shoving something in the microwave, or it means having a few more minutes to sit down quietly with a cup of tea, or it means writing in your journal or doing things that are healing to your body, mind, and spirit, because all of these things help to bring balance into your life. Not even so much balance, harmony into your life. Balance and harmony into your life. They work together. Everything works together for the good of the whole. And
like listening to music too.
Yes, exactly. Listening to music. What are some other things you can suggest for people to fill up their cup?
Or dancing, reading great books.
Yes.
Even just going for a walk. For a walk and appreciating nature and being grateful.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful thing, as a matter of fact.
Key ingredients.
As a matter of fact, I just recently have had a study that shows that people who are more, that people who are grateful actually tend to live longer and have better health. And people who are optimistic have a better immune system.
Yes. So
we can all choose these things.
Yes. Choose these things. These are a choice. These are a choice.
Choose these things.
Yes, indeed. Not that I'm telling you what to do, by the way, but I'm telling you, choose these things in your life. So, yes.
You can choose these things if you choose to.
Yes. Gratitude is the key to prosperity in all areas of your life. And positive mental attitude. I mean, it is proven that these two things together. And I would invite everybody, and I'll tell you about this, Dr. Amadi. I don't know if you know about it, but I was just recently turned on to this video. We talk about water, and water being 80% of our makeup, and how it's so important to stay hydrated. I was introduced to this video. It's on YouTube, and I'll give you the link to this in the email that go out for the replay. It's called Water, the Great Mystery. And it has so much information about water, and really the molecules and the study by Dr. Emoto, who is only one little bit of this video, by the way. It's about an hour long. Oh,
yes, Dr. Emoto.
Yes. Okay. And well worth your time to sit and watch this. And the gratitude piece is huge. Even as you consume your water, consume your food, consume it with a mindset of gratitude and appreciation, and it will work better in your body. It's really, all this stuff is proven. But this may sound like hocus pocus to you, but no. As Karen Mayfield says, it's not hocus pocus, it's focus. So focus on what is the best.
There you go. I like that. I like that. That's great.
Yes. So
No, it's not hocus pocus and it's not woo-woo. It really works.
It really works. It really does work. So I highly recommend, I'll put the link for that water, the great mystery, and love and gratitude are the things that are like key to living your best life. I believe that self-care with love, gratitude, harmony, all these
And
different.
can I tell you this about that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's one reason why in pretty much every therapy that I do a 10-second zap of love for the person.
Yay.
Because we all need that.
Yes.
And it helps us to flourish and grow and be healthy. And you know what? It doesn't take more than 10 seconds, so why not?
No, it doesn't take more than 10 seconds. So
people really, really benefit from that.
How would you best like people to get in touch with you, Dr. Amadi? Do you want to give an email address where they can contact you to set up a consultation? Do you want to give your phone number? How is the best way for people to get in contact with you? Because I know that everybody probably has a ton of questions after this conversation. What's the best way? Let's talk about that.
Well, I could just give the best way. The best way is actually by calling my office, which that number is 954-757-0064, 954-757-0064. Alternatively, they could email me at dramadi@dramadi.com. Those are two good ways to get in touch with me. And
Okay.
I am on East Coast time, so.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Keep that in mind. So 954-757-0064 will get someone to your office where they'll either speak to you or your lovely receptionist, Kathy, and assistant. She's awesome.
Yes.
Or you can you can email Dr. Amadi at dramadi@dramadi.com, dramadi.com. We are coming up with 6 minutes left. Any last things that have come into your mind that you want to share with our viewers today?
Well, one of the things that I would like to tell people is to listen to your bodies. I see a lot of patients who know that something is starting to go wrong with them, and they go to various doctors, and sometimes those doctors, after doing the tests that they usually do, say it's all in your mind. You're fine because your blood tests were fine and your scans were fine, so basically just ignore this and go away and don't trouble yourself about it anymore. Listen to your intuition. Your body tries to talk to you all the time, but we're not always listening because sometimes we're focused on other things. Don't let anybody tell you that it's all in your mind, because although some of it may be, but some of it is probably not, and it's just not detectable in the ways that they usually would want to try to detect it. So keep on searching, whether it's me or whether it's another functional medicine doctor. And there are more and more doctors starting to turn to functional medicine. Search for a functional medicine doctor or a functional medicine practitioner, and then actually follow their advice.
Yeah.
If you do that, you'll do yourself a big favor.
Yes.
Save yourself a world of misery later on.
Absolutely. And I what you said there is really important. They might not be able to actually see what the issue is, the underlying issue is, through the blood work or through the skin.
Right, but that doesn't mean that there isn't any.
Right.
And I would also like to say too, and this is just real quick, and that is that just because somebody has done the common hormonal tests and not found any imbalances or anything that is in the out of range area does not mean that your hormonal status is completely normal. So if you suspect that you have a hormonal imbalance and they say that they've tested you and they say that it's normal, go see a functional medicine doctor, or better yet, go see a doctor who uses quantum biofeedback so that you can find out if it's really normal or not.
Right. So that was leading me to this question. How do you do bioidentical hormone replacement differently than any other doctor? Is through the use of this machine, correct? And if they don't have the machine, they can't get the specifics the way that you can get the specifics in the process that you use, correct?
Yes. But what I found is what makes it different is that I found that labs will tell you what the body's making, but it won't tell you the immune system's reaction to what it's making. So just, you can have, let's say, for example, 3 people who all 3 of them have the same, let's say, TSH, but for one person, they may be actually hyper-functioning, the other person might be normal, and the other one might be actually hypo-functioning, depending upon how those hormones bind to their receptors. And that's not something that a lab measures. It's an electromagnetic measurement that you can look at on the quantum biofeedback machine.
Wow. So remember this, everything is energy. You are energy. The world around you is energy. In order to be able to change something that's going on within your energy, it has to be measured energetically. So that's what Dr. Amadi does with the quantum biofeedback. Yes, right? So I'm so happy and grateful that you decided to join me for this conversation. And I hope that our listeners will absolutely get in touch with you. Once again, I'll give your information. Call 954-757-0064 or email Dr. Amadi, DRAMADI @dramadi.com. Thank you so much, Hepsharat Amadi.
Yes, and I just wanted to thank you so much, Teresa, for having me on your show. I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We enjoyed having you here. And for those of you who are listening or watching this broadcast, I invite you to come back to Transformational Tuesdays every week on Tuesday at noon Eastern Time for the incredible guests that we have. Wasn't this hour amazing? I'm using this and
it flew by for me.
Yeah, it flew by. It just flies by. Transformational Tuesdays is like a wind in a hurricane. It just like flies by and it's just done.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. So next week we have
lots of fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. I enjoy it. And sooner or later we're going to be able to get a way for these callers to be able to do something right away and, like somehow raise their hand. I'm going to work with Doreen on that and see exactly how we can do this. But so that we can recognize them and open the line without them having to text my phone. It's that extra step that sometimes just doesn't happen. But anyway, technology, we're working on it. I'm not a techno genius.
That's right. That's right. We'll get it.
Look at it.
You think it very well, much better than I do.
Yes.
I'm only a technical genius on the quantum biofeedback machine, but everything else is Greek to me so far.
And that you are indeed, Dr. Amadi, you are a technical genius on the quantum biofeedback machine. Because I looked at the thing and I went, what? She knew everything that it said. She knew everything that it said. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Please get in touch with Dr. Amadi if you have an interest in living your most healthy life. Inside and out. She can give you some help and some healing and some hope for things that maybe didn't have hope before. So I invite you to really connect with her and come back to Transformational Tuesdays next week where Tanya Vilar will be joining us for a conversation on, and it's also an energetic conversation. I'll leave the surprise until you get to
good.
email. So thank you. Thank you again. Hope you'll come back as a visitor, Dr. Amadi, and we'll bring you back again.
I'm sure that I will.
In the future. Awesome.
I'm sure that I will.
Awesome. And until then, I hope every one of you enjoys traveling what I like to call the transformational tales of life. We'll see you next time, everyone. Have a great day.